The foundation of your true money life is always union. Thus, the inner work is the basis of reaching that, so you can heal into it. And I worked 4 years after union to reach that. This is a new idea, seemingly, maybe for you, that money can be in the same alignment as your source, twin flame love, union, harmonious union, the state of consciousness even. And I understand that that can be a completely new idea. And that's why I make this video for you. It is day 1 of the Energy is Money game. And the 17 participants are now looking into their workbook. They had the starting up live video in our specific Facebook group for it. They're going to work on what day 1 brings for them. And I'm going to challenge myself to talk for 5 days and maybe a little bit more about these topics and how I update them for myself, for the now, and for harmonious union. Because when you are in harmonious union, you still have a physical life. You still want to have a roof over your head. You still want to buy groceries. You still want to feed your family. You still want to have good food that truly nourishes you for yourself, so that you can work in your mission much more with a quality presence. You actually really start to invest in yourself when you reach that, because now you get that, having made that inner investment in the inner work that worked out for you so that you reach harmonious union, can also be working out even more when you continue to do it, when you continue to do the inner work for many life questions in your harmonious union. And money is part of that too, again. So for me personally, when I came into union, I was searching for a new start for my money life. I knew that I had let go of big illusions, enormous illusions that were in my mind about how relationship even functions, about who the twin flame even was. I thought the false twin flame was the twin flame, but that was not so. I busted enormous illusions of this life here, this human life, this earthly life that I'm in now. And I remembered past lives that were remembered as if it was yesterday. This information came rolling in and I was kind of overwhelmed by it. Like, but how do I give this a place? Because apparently we're not only this in this life, we're not even only that in that life. Because that was the bigger revelation that started to come through me in my life to make it real. And that is that we are actually the consciousness behind it all. We are actually the one that is aware of everything. Not only of my body, my energy body in the now, but of every life that I've lived. I'm the one that is traveling through these lives. Or maybe not even that. It came forward more and more that I am the one that learns through experiences. Yeah, in lifetimes, but that doesn't really matter. I'm the one that learns through these experiences. And what I'm learning now, in the now, and all these lifetimes take place in the now or are remembered in the now, what I learn right now is to choose union, to choose harmonious union. And I felt that sense of new beginning. This was a new start. I had unwound, is that a word? My mind from significant brainwashing. And I think to a certain degree we're all sort of brainwashed, if you will, by the ideas of our upbringing, the ideas of our society, the ideas of the ego is what that is. The idea that you are a separate self that needs to behave in a certain way to get something nice. And when you, like me, come from a background in this lifetime, in my childhood, when you were narcissistically treated, that's an even sicker ego that comes from that as a result. Because now that is a whole negative game to be like, I'm going to be nice like this, so you give me something. And this is a manipulation technique that never lets go and really gets into a negative corner and festers there and festers there and festers there, and there's no genuine connection possible. That's what the narcissism is. It's like not a healthy ego, it's a psychologically ill ego. But both are ego, you see, and sometimes by going through the sick ego, you actually experience all the more that the ego isn't real, because that's the only way to escape that. That's the only way to heal the mind from all these psychological traumas as well. So I did go through surrendering my mind to God through this anti-brainwashing. How do you say that? Anti-brainwashing? I don't know. De-brainwashing? And I remembered who the true twin flame was as a natural result of that. And I just wrote to him, and he just visited me. And I was overwhelmed by all this enormous positive inflow of everything, of him and the energy and the love and how it touched me and all the dreams at night and all the associations with my past life, the associations with my present life, in which he was also already for very many years present. And he also was in that specific past life that I was remembering very much at that time as well. I remembered, it was this silent song in my mind that became more in the foreground. Now I de-brainwashed. From the sick ego, but also from the ego itself, because that was the depth of that de-brainwashing, which was only possible by me surrendering my mind to God, which was a conscious action that was in effect also an unconscious taking over and allowing that. And that was all around that time, 4 years ago. And I was completely overtaken by these experiences. I was overwhelmed. Union was an overwhelming experience of the coming in of sensuality and sexuality and love and friendship and being helped, and all puzzle pieces falling into place. All memories that I had of all these years of trying and trying and trying to do something that would work in Twin Flame land. And the puzzle pieces falling into place in the right order, finally. It was completely beyond description. Because I remembered that sweet song in my heart. Yeah. And I knew that I wanted to start over. I knew that I needed a new direction in my mission, a new chapter in my mission that would be really true, that would be really grounded, but then grounded in truth and not in the societal ideas that had brainwashed me, not in the ideas that I grew up with that brainwashed me, but in a new way. But how? And I had this idea that somehow it would still have to do with the very same that I always did, but then in a more genuine way, then in a deeper level, than on the union level. But how? And I was working independently, and I still felt that was the same. But how? On this genuine way, because I had actually been experiencing that people that work independently as an entrepreneur and a coach and whatnot, as an independent professional, were actually kind of manipulative too. But that's not where this came from. That was not this space in my heart. So how to do that? How to continue? So I figured that I just needed this whole new chapter. And I started to sit myself down and make notes about what I at that time thought was relevant. These kinds of projects, but with this feeling in my heart. And that was the most important thing, this feeling in my heart of ginormous love. Ginormous. And the gratitude that I felt for it was indescribable. And I even felt very much that it was, in a sense, coming from my true twin flame that was back in my life now. So I was trying to translate that into money and to think like, maybe I can pay him back. Maybe that's literal. I don't know. Let's think about that. Let's journal about that. Because he was the representative of God in my life. And I had received that. Now fully in union. So I knew there was a deeper level that was going to come in. And for some months, I tried to give that shape. And after around 2 months, 3 months, I started to hear that God told me that indeed God was going to place money in alignment with this. And that was going to be called the divine money path. That was what that was. That was this idea that started to get shape now for real, that money, how you make it, your mission, helping others, the energy that it represents, because energy is money, was all going to be connected directly to this overflowing heart as a result of this gift of the divine that union is. So I got this vague understanding that money has a money union. And it can be aligned there, and that's the whole point. And I accepted. And around 1.5 months or something after that, I was in the state of consciousness of harmonious twin flame union. And that's where the even deeper healing kicked in. Because I thought that maybe within a couple of months I would get this new money chapter going. And also start to grow a little bigger money. But the truth was that I committed to being genuine. And that meant that in harmonious union now, I was actually going to be surrendered to this bigger than life, ginormous healing that moved through my emotional life, my mental life, my physical life, everything. I thought I had been crying in bed already long enough when I was de-brainwashed, getting into union, and then getting into harmonious union a little after that. But no. After harmonious union, that's when the enormous amount of healing came through and moved through my body, literally moved through my energy, moved through my psychology. And that was going to be the foundation of connecting my money to union. The unionized money would start to flow when I would do the inner work to completion. And that's where it would come from. I had actually already been saying this for years at that point. At least 5 that I was actively busy with talking about money, talking about the creative possibilities of money, talking about trying to be soulful about money. And today I even looked in my computer for more inspiration to also perhaps publish some blogs extra in this money game week, the Energy is Money game week that we have now. And I found blogs that were on my former website in which I talked about the twin flame as business partner and money and soul years ago, at this point 9 years ago. And I might rework them and publish them. I had been studying about entrepreneurship, money, cryptocurrency, what it would mean in a heart-based life in a conscious way. For some years, my life and my work were full of it. And I tried to move that in the direction of union. Certainly, I tried that. Because I published about when you want to have your twin flame as business partner, which I still stand for. But now I was making it come true. And all these ideas just came together in this moment of union and then harmonious union. And I thought, okay, so now I can within a couple of months go truly to this deeper layer that I have been actually prophesizing about for some years already, helping some people in what I knew back then. But now, within a couple of months, I would be able to reestablish this more genuine union layer in my money life, right? And God is going to give His flow of prosperity through me, and I will be able to manifest that, isn't it? And that was true. But it was not within a couple of months. But what started within a couple of months was the deepest healing I have ever experienced. And that was the foundation of making that union-connected money come true. It moved through my money life. It moved through my physical life. It moved through my psychological life. And at a certain point, I realized that I was also going to start really literally to work on all these aspects of money that I hadn't fully tied together yet. There were still some things lingering. There were still some below zero aspects of my money life. There were still some conflicts about money with other people. And I started to work on that by writing that down, by making my basis of my daily life into an equation of the costs and what was coming in, and how I would organize that and make a beautiful minimum scenario that was at that point realistic. And I started this whole journey of getting rid of debts, getting rid of conflicts. And I was writing about that every time again. I was starting to think about the financial future, what union, if it would come more in my everyday life as a relationship, what it would mean to me. I started to make scenarios for that, and I started to feel into my private finances first, like what would that mean? And where would that come from? And I started to feel into how I felt about all these topics. It was all very foundational. And this whole emotional healing was actually having a parallel in this money healing too. And I went through it to completion. And at this point, I have completed that. We're 4 years later after this union moment. I have never felt more prosperous. I have never felt more wealthy. I have never been more satisfied about what I have invested in, because the money that I had that I could spend was invested in real good food, the right food, real food, nourishing food, and literature to educate myself about that. Spiritual coaching, business coaching, and the last 2 years also in clothes, in healing the rest of my physicality with clothes and accessories that made me feel safe and cared for, which was a huge foundation to start building on. So that's where we're now. I can see now, looking back, that this was totally and utterly part of the whole union process, the whole union healing, the whole harmonious union healing that came after it. It was just an integral part of that, so that I fully lived through what that actually meant that I was talking about 9 years ago already. To want to be soulful about money and at the same time being innovative and present day with it and up to date with all the latest entrepreneurial ideas, which I came, absolutely. But now it was also connected to union. And there's only one thing I can pass on regarding to money, and that is the money and union come together. Because that's what I did. The foundation of your true money life is always union. Thus, the inner work is the basis of reaching that, so you can heal into it. To get your money union, you also do the inner work that I advise for twin flame work and progress on the twin flame journey. And that is the key tool, which, yes, means loving yourself in all areas where you feel empty of money and scarcity and you feel poor and needy, and also the places where you realistically do need money. You're going to feel how that feels too, and you're going to love yourself there. But the key tool is a little more than just loving yourself. It's specific. It brings you to the place where you're beyond all lives and be the core of what you are together with Source. That's how it is designed. And it means that you're going to not only love yourself, but moreover, turn things around in that gesture of loving yourself. That's how the key tool works. And we just do it just as much for your money union as for your twin flame union. And you deserve that. It is actually all because the divine feels you deserve that. You deserve all the good that belongs to you, all the prosperity that is soulfully here for you. Because you deserve that. Because it belongs to you, because it is you. And when we're doing as if money doesn't belong in our life, then we're actually saying that value is not important to me. And we're trying to cut ourselves off from our life force energy and the symbols that we have of that and that we agreed upon as a society collectively to have as that. And that is not what God wants for you. He wants you to be free with that. Embrace it. And be full of value with the symbols that stand for that and the structures that are invented for that and that we agreed upon work for that, such as money. It is only your true value that is and can be expressed in your harmonious union. And that valuable energy can be expressed in money. See the money in alignment with that. That will help you. Start to see it like that. That's the beginning. For me, it started also with an idea. 9 years ago, the idea that this could happen. The idea that it was such an enlightening plan of me to guide people to a place of being consciously soulful with their money, and desiring their twin flame as their business partner, and whatnot. I mean, I had very many things that I talked about back then, such as me economy, which means the soul economy that comes out of you, is birthed through your process, instead of being dependent on a so-called market outside. But now, to truly have gone through that, now I made it come true for myself fully. Those ideas, where it starts, you always need to start at a good idea, right? So my idea today for you is see money in alignment with true value in the divine light. For me, it started also with ideas, and then you go deeper with it. You got to start somewhere. And then you can, just like me, also connect it truly, as in a lived through way, to your union, to your actual harmonious union, when it really happens for you. And that's where that becomes one. That's where your survival money mechanisms become one with the divine just giving, the eternal flow on the harmonious union level, the ascended level of life. And in that co-creation of survival and how the divine starts to embrace you there, the survival just crumbles. And only that divine money remains. That's a process. That's a process that you can go through. And you're invited to do that with me. You're invited to feel the surrender and be real about that. And you're also invited to start building on structures that are actually helpful to still keep on moving through this whole process of falling away and moving into the new. Yeah. So I'm happy to present that to you now. I hope this helped. And to truly experience what I mean, I think it is helpful when you do this meditation with me that I present to you right here in a couple of seconds. Love from Petra.
Bij de dansen van verhalen, de verbinding van beweging.